Why does the woman who seemed completely into you suddenly become a stranger overnight? She is a storm you can't tame. One moment she pulls you in with warmth that melts every wall you've ever built. The next, she turns cold, distant, leaving you questioning if you ever mattered at all. Here's the brutal truth. It's not about what you did. It's about hidden triggers in her mind. Weak spots buried so deep, even she can't explain them. And yet, they guide everything. How she loves, how she reacts, how she decides if you're worth her time. Her silence isn't random, it's a pattern. Her mood swings aren't chaos, they're signals. Most men never see these signals until it's too late. They stumble in the dark, thinking she lost interest, when really, they just stepped on one of her emotional landmines. In this video, I'll reveal the 10 soft spots every woman carries. Not cliches, not surface flaws, but deep psychological patterns that shape love, desire, and heartbreak. Each weakness feeds into the next, creating a web of vulnerability that most men never understand. Once you see how they all connect, you'll never see women the same way again. But beware. The deeper we go, the more dangerous this knowledge becomes. By the time we reach weaknesses 9 and 10, you'll understand forces so powerful they can destroy relationships before they even begin. So ask yourself, do you want clarity or do you want comfort? Because clarity will change you forever. The first hidden weakness is her hunger for attention, and it's the foundation everything else builds upon. At first it seems harmless, a smile, a laugh, a selfie, but every glance, every like, every compliment feeds a craving she rarely admits. Picture her posting a selfie. Minutes later, likes flood in. Each ping sparks her brain. Each heart whispers, "You're wanted. You matter." She feels it in strangers' stares, co-workers' interest, even a glance across the room. Here's the truth. The source doesn't matter. Respect doesn't matter. What matters is the rush of being seen. It boosts her, but it also becomes a drug. And when it fades, the withdrawals hit hard. She's not seeking attention. She's seeking proof she exists. Her mind spins. Did I lose my edge? Who's taking my spotlight? She rereads messages, replays conversations, hunts for meaning where none exists. Her mood swings, warm one day, cold the next. To you, it feels random, but it isn't. It's the rhythm of attention, the cycle of being noticed, then forgotten. And here's where it gets dangerous. When that external validation disappears, her mind doesn't go quiet. Instead, it starts working overtime, analyzing every detail, every interaction, every possible meaning behind your words. The hunger for attention feeds directly into her next weakness, and this is where most men lose her completely. The second weakness is her habit of emotional overthinking, and it's fueled by that hunger for attention we just uncovered. When the external validation stops, her internal analysis machine kicks into overdrive. You send a simple, "okay." To you, it's nothing. To her, it sparks a storm. That one word feels cold. Her mind spins. Is he upset? Has he lost interest? Did I say something wrong? But here's what most men miss. This isn't just sensitivity. It's her attention-seeking mind trying to decode why the flow of validation suddenly changed. Every silence becomes a warning sign. A pause feels like rejection. A shift in your routine becomes her fault. She doesn't just imagine these stories, she feels them. Her heart races, her stomach knots. Joy flips into doubt, security into panic. Modern life only amplifies it. A typing bubble feels like a heartbeat. An emoji feels like a code. A delayed reply feels like abandonment. She battles invisible enemies created by her own mind. Enemies that grow stronger when she's not getting the attention she craves. Her mind is a detective that only solves crimes that haven't happened yet. And the cruel twist? Sometimes the enemy she imagines most clearly is you, even if you've done nothing wrong. Her overthinking mind creates elaborate stories about why you're pulling away, why she's not enough, why she's losing your interest. This constant mental analysis exhausts her, wearing down her confidence day by day. And when confidence crumbles, she becomes vulnerable to the next weakness, one that makes her question the very face she sees in the mirror. The third weakness hides behind beauty itself, born from the toxic combination of attention-seeking and overthinking. Even the most stunning woman can stare into the mirror and see only flaws, especially when her mind has been spinning stories about why she's not getting the validation she craves. A blemish, a strand of hair out of place, a curve she wishes were different. Small details feel unbearable. Admiration from others rarely matters, because her reflection rarely feels enough. Her overthinking mind has already convinced her that if you seemed distant yesterday, it must be because of how she looks. Social media deepens the wound. Perfect faces, perfect bodies, perfect lives. Whisper, you should look like this. You're not enough. Compliments bounce off the insecurities she's carried for years. Sometimes a careless remark from long ago echoes louder than all the praise she hears today. She chases a version of perfection that doesn't exist, fixing, comparing, adjusting, yet never satisfied. On the outside, she looks radiant and confident. On the inside, she is restless, questioning, vulnerable. Her attention-seeking behavior becomes more desperate as she tries to prove to herself that she's still desirable. She's fighting a war against a mirror that lies to her every day. This vulnerability creates a dangerous opening, because when insecurity meets flattery, everything changes. A compliment doesn't just make her smile, it strikes the very core of her doubts. Words about her eyes, her laugh, her intelligence feel like relief, like proof she might be enough after all. But that relief is temporary and addictive. It feeds both her need for attention and quiets her overthinking, if only for a moment. And this creates the perfect storm for her next weakness, one that can make her fall for the wrong man in an instant. The fourth weakness is her vulnerability to flattery. And now you can see how it connects to everything we've uncovered. Her hunger for attention has left her starving. Her overthinking has convinced her something's wrong. Her insecurity has made her doubt her worth. Then the right words arrive at the perfect moment. Her walls may stop almost anything, except the right compliment when she's feeling low. A random, "you look nice," fades, but the words that touch her hidden doubts linger and burn. When a man notices her laugh, her intelligence, or the spark in her eyes, it doesn't feel like a line. It feels like rescue. This isn't about vanity. It's about emotional survival. She's been drowning in self-doubt, and his words feel like oxygen. Suddenly, he isn't just another man. He's the one who gets her. The one who sees what she was afraid of. Everyone had stopped noticing. Attention was just the spark. Overthinking was the kindling. Insecurity was the fuel. But the right words? They're pure gasoline. They bypass logic, cut through her defenses, and land directly in her wounded heart. Her analytical mind, the same one that spins disaster scenarios, suddenly goes quiet. All that matters is this moment, this feeling, this man who made her feel seen again. He doesn't just compliment her, he performs CP on her dying confidence. And once she feels understood, her walls begin to crumble. She shares more, trusts faster, and lets her emotions lead where reason should. Red flags blur. Doubt gets silenced. She convinces herself the connection is deeper than it is, because his words reached her exactly when she needed them most. This emotional high is intoxicating, but it's also dangerous. Because when emotions run this hot, when the relief feels this good, she stops thinking clearly. Logic takes a backseat to feeling, and that sets the stage for her next weakness, one that can change the course of her entire life in a single evening. The fifth weakness shows when her emotions outrun her reason, and you can trace the path that led her here. The attention she craved, the overthinking that exhausted her, the insecurity that wounded her, the flattery that healed her. All of it culminates in this moment where she doesn't just lean in, she dives in, heart first, blind to the risks. She meets a man, feels the spark, and tells herself it's destiny. But it's not destiny. It's desperation dressed up as fate. Her attention-starved heart latches onto his validation like a lifeline. Her overthinking mind, usually so active, falls strangely silent when flooded with the good feelings his presence brings. Her insecurities quiet down because he makes her feel beautiful, wanted, special. Logic fades. Common sense disappears. Red flags get brushed aside. The rush is too intoxicating. She gives more of herself than the moment has earned, more than the relationship can handle, because the emotional payoff feels like everything she's been missing. In her mind, the future builds quickly. Late-night talks, adventures, long-term promises, all before the relationship has been tested. Modern dating fuels it with instant matches, endless messages, constant validation. What feels like love is often just intensity dressed as connection. Shiva doesn't fall in love. She falls into the idea of love, and the crash is always brutal. But here's the trap. Impulsive love doesn't just make her give too much too fast. It also makes her terrified of losing what she's found. The same desperation that made her dive in now makes her panic at the thought of it ending. What began as passion transforms into anxiety. Excitement morphs into panic. To her, holding on tight feels necessary. To others, it looks irrational. And this fear, this terror that the good feelings might disappear, awakens something primal within her. Something that will make her cling to the wrong people and push away the right ones, often at the same time. The sixth weakness is her fear of abandonment. And now you can see how every previous weakness feeds into this monster. The attention she needs, the overthinking that torments her, the insecurity that haunts her, the flattery that saves her, the impulsive love that consumes her. All of it makes losing someone feel like death itself. At first, she may look confident, independent, untouchable. But once her heart connects, especially after giving so much so quickly, the fear rises quietly, and then takes over completely. To her, being left is more than sadness. It feels like collapse. Panic in her chest, anxiety in her thoughts, emptiness that feels unbearable. That fear rewires her choices in ways that destroy the very love she's trying to protect. She stays too long in toxic relationships, forgives unforgivable betrayals, excuses blatant disrespect. Not because she doesn't see the truth, but because loneliness feels worse than mistreatment. Sometimes she even chases what's already gone. A man who pulled away, a love that ended. She fights for it, not out of hope, but out of terror. She isn't clinging to him. She's clinging to the fear of being alone with her thoughts, her insecurities, her endless need for validation. The cruelest irony? This fear creates the very outcome she's trying to avoid. She holds on so tight to the wrong people that she suffocates what little good remains. Meanwhile, she builds walls so high that even the right man struggles to reach her when he arrives. To protect herself from future abandonment, she develops her next weakness, one that keeps love at arm's length, even when she desperately wants it close. The seventh weakness is revealed in the walls she builds, and you can trace every brick back to the pain we've been uncovering. Her hunger for attention taught her that people can withdraw their interest without warning. Her overthinking convinced her that disaster lurks in every silence. Her insecurity whispered that she's not enough to keep anyone. The flattery that once saved her proved how desperate she'd become. Her impulsive love left her exposed and vulnerable. Her fear of abandonment became a wound that never fully heals. So she builds walls. Outwardly, she seems magnetic, untouchable, full of life. But her brightness often hides a fortress constructed from years of hurt and disappointment. Her sarcasm, teasing, and quick wit, these aren't just habits. They're shields. She deflects closeness with a laugh, a sharp reply, or cool distance. To outsiders, she looks strong. In truth, strength is her mask, not her reality. She's learned that showing need brings pain, so she shows the opposite. Deep down, she longs for connection, for someone safe enough to see her. But every time kindness reaches her, fear whispers. What if it doesn't last? What if they hurt me again? What if I open up and they lose interest like everyone else? So her walls rise higher, even as part of her wants them to fall. Her defenses don't just block others, they also trap her own emotions. The storms inside her don't vanish. They swirl beneath the surface, feeding off her unmet needs, growing stronger in the darkness. The attention she craves gets blocked by her own barriers. The overthinking intensifies because she can't share her fears. The insecurity festers because she won't let anyone close enough to reassure her. And when those walls finally crack, when someone patient enough, persistent enough, or charming enough gets through, she doesn't open halfway. She pours herself into someone completely, desperately, as if making up for lost time. The tragedy is, all that pent-up emotion, all that suppressed need, often overwhelms whoever manages to breach her defenses. And if that someone is the wrong man, the damage can break her in ways she never expected. The eighth weakness appears when she gives her trust to the wrong man, and by now you understand why this happens. Her walls have kept her isolated, but they've also built up tremendous pressure. When someone finally gets through, all her unmet needs come rushing out at once. She doesn't just trust, she overtrusts. Her attention-seeking behavior, usually spread across many sources, becomes focused laser-sharp on him. Her overthinking, usually scattered across 100 worries, now centers entirely on pleasing him. Her insecurities, usually hidden behind walls, become vulnerabilities she shares in hopes of deeper connection. The flattery that once came from strangers now means everything coming from him. Her impulsive nature makes her give everything before knowing if he deserves it. That's why she's so vulnerable. The wrong man doesn't just take, he drains. He uses her openness, accepts her trust, but never honors it. He enjoys her attention without reciprocating. He dismisses her fears instead of soothing them. He exploits her insecurities rather than healing them. He takes her impulsive giving for granted rather than treasuring it. And when he leaves, when he's taken all he wanted and grown bored with her intensity, he doesn't just walk away. He leaves her hollow, questioning not only him, but herself, her worth, her judgment, even her ability to trust again. The walls she'd finally let down feel like a mistake. The vulnerability she'd shown feels like weakness. It's not blindness that leads her here. She often sees the red flags, feels the doubts, but hope makes her believe. She convinces herself he will become the version she imagined, that her love can change him, that this time will be different. Hope becomes stronger than reality, and that hope betrays her. When betrayal hits, it fractures her. All her old patterns return with a vengeance. Overthinking spirals deeper. Fear of abandonment screams louder. Insecurity cuts sharper. Walls grow higher. And yet, part of her still longs to trust, even while fearing it. This is her painful cycle. She trusts deeply, she breaks deeply, and the scars stay long after. Even new love must live in the shadow of betrayal. But the damage goes deeper than just fear. It changes how she remembers, how she processes the past, creating her next weakness, one that can trap her in yesterday while today slips away. The ninth weakness is her tendency to romanticize the past, and it's born directly from the pattern of trust and betrayal we've been following. When a relationship ends, especially one where she gave everything, her mind doesn't process the pain in a healthy way. Instead, it performs surgery on her memories, cutting out the hurt and polishing the good until it gleams like gold. Think about the journey that brought her here. Her hunger for attention made every moment of his interest feel precious. Her overthinking created elaborate meanings around simple gestures. Her insecurity made his compliments feel life-saving. Her vulnerability to flattery turned his words into treasures. Her impulsive love made every experience feel intense and meaningful. Her fear of abandonment made losing him feel catastrophic. Her walls made opening up to him feel like the bravest thing she'd ever done. Her trust made every betrayal cut deeper. Now, faced with the wreckage of what she thought was love, her mind protects her in the only way it knows how, by editing the story. She replays his smile, his touch, his voice, scenes painted brighter than they ever were. The arguments, the broken promises, the betrayals fade. What's left is an illusion, a man perfected by selective memory. This nostalgia feels safe because the past can't hurt her anymore, but it traps her in ways she doesn't understand. Every new man is compared to a ghost who never truly existed. And no matter how good the new man is, he can't compete with perfection created by her imagination. The real man who disappointed her becomes the perfect man who got away. She convinces herself she lost something flawless, forgetting it came with chaos and heartbreak. That longing keeps her stuck between what was and what is. She hesitates, doubts, feels dissatisfied with the present because it can't match her fantasy of before. Her attention drifts back to memories instead of focusing on what's in front of her. Her overthinking now includes comparing every new experience to idealized old ones. And when nostalgia collides with insecurity, overthinking, and fear, the storm deepens. The past feels more real than the present. The ghost feels closer than the man standing before her. She sabotages new love in service of old illusions. That is why romanticizing the past is so dangerous. It doesn't just distort memory, it distorts reality. And that distortion prepares the way for her final weakness, the one that controls all the others. The 10th and final weakness is her tendency to let emotions control her reality. And now, you can see how it's been the invisible force behind everything we've discovered. Every weakness we've explored, from attention-seeking to romanticizing the past, exists because emotions, not logic, drive her world. For most men, logic acts as an anchor. Facts weigh heavy. Reason comes first. But for her, Emotions are not background noise. They are the lens through which she sees everything. If she feels it, it's real. If she fears it, it shapes her choices. If she hopes for it, she believes it's possible. This is why she can love with bottomless depth, care with overwhelming devotion, and hurt with unbearable intensity. A simple moment can feel like destiny. A small disappointment can feel like betrayal. Intensity matters more than clarity. The emotional truth feels more real than the factual truth. Look back at her journey through our lens. Her hunger for attention isn't logical, it's emotional. She needs to feel wanted more than she needs to be respected. Her overthinking isn't rational analysis, it's emotional protection. She creates stories that justify her feelings rather than seeking objective truth. Her insecurity about appearance isn't based on reality. It's based on how she feels about herself in any given moment. Her vulnerability to flattery makes perfect sense now. Words that make her feel good become more important than words that are true. Her impulsive decisions in love happen because the feeling of connection overwhelms the facts about compatibility. Her fear of abandonment controls her choices because the emotion of panic overpowers logical assessment of risk. Her walls exist to protect her emotions, not her actual safety. Her tendency to trust the wrong men happens because they make her feel right, even when the evidence suggests otherwise. Her romanticizing of the past occurs because the emotions attached to memories feel more real than what actually happened. But the same force that makes her radiant also makes her fragile. When emotions drive, reason disappears. She may forgive what shouldn't be forgiven because forgiveness feels like love. She may cling to what's already gone because letting go feels like death. She may chase what can never be hers, all because her heart demanded it before her mind could intervene. Her impulses, her nostalgia, her fears collide into a storm she can not always control, and that storm sweeps others into its chaos. Her ability to feel deeply makes her unforgettable, but it also makes her unpredictable, hard to reach, and at times unknowable. She is both light and storm, nurturing, yet destructive. Understanding this truth is the final key. Her desire for attention, her overthinking, her insecurities, her trust, her nostalgia, they all connect here. Emotions don't just influence her world, they define it. And once you understand this, you hold the master key to reading her completely. Now you've seen it all. 10 hidden weaknesses that shape how a woman loves, reacts, and decides. More importantly, you've seen how they connect, feeding one another in a cycle most men never understand. Attention fades and sparks overthinking. Overthinking breeds insecurity. Insecurity opens the door to flattery. Flattery fuels impulsive love. Impulse awakens the fear of abandonment. Fear builds walls. Walls let the wrong man in. Betrayal turns her to the past. And through it all, emotions, not logic, rule her world. This is the map most men never learn to read. They see her charm, her smile, her fire, and assume she is simple. They react to surface behaviors, confused by contradictions, frustrated by storms they can't explain. But nothing is random. Every shift, every silence, every mood traces back to these hidden patterns. Fail to see them, and you'll always be at their mercy. But now you hold the compass. You see why she pulls away when things feel perfect. You know why small things explode into storms. You can read signals other men miss. This isn't about control. It's about clarity. With clarity, you stop stumbling in the dark. You become the steady presence in her chaos, the anchor in her storm. Most men drown here. The rare man rises above, not by fighting emotion, but by understanding it. So here's your move. Drop a comment. I hold the line. Subscribe now and step into the rare circle of men who see past the surface and turn knowledge into unshakable strength.